This time on No Not the Mind Probe, episode number 91, Honor Among Thieves.
Welcome to no, not the Mind Probe.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, buddy. I'm doing a little sneaky, like a thief.
Sure,
I'm being like a thief. I'm being sneaky and telling you this is not the Mind Probe, which is reflective of our promotional efforts in general.
Yes.
Try to keep it as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
That we have a podcast.
Hey, you know what?
Don't
We're a
tell anybody,
podcast.
right?
We're not showy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not like putting on airs. All
We
right.
are. I guarantee you will not be entertained by this podcast. That is the Mind Probe promise.
We're just a workaday podcast, right? We're just churning these out.
We're just pumping them out. Pumping out this podcast. We said it. This is a podcast where we watch and rank every single Doctor Who story ever, or at least we talk about. We don't actually watch them on the pod. We watch them before.
Yeah.
And then we talk about them, and then we rank them. And we should probably a bit of clarity in episode 92 if you have 91. If you haven't picked that up yet, that's what it is. Also, if you haven't picked it up, my name is John, and I am a lifelong Doctor Who. I've been watching it for, and you know what? We've just rolled over the clock. Rolling it over, folks. I've been watching it for 39 years, which is amazing because I'm 32.
Yeah, the odometer rolled over there.
Yeah, we just roll over. Here we go.
My name.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, my name is Porter Mason. John there has been asking me to watch Doctor Who for 27 years. A few years ago, I finally said yes. In the depths of the pandemic, I finally submitted.
when life was, you were at your lowest point.
Each episode, we look at two Doctor Who stories. We're going through the NuWho series order. And then John acts as our Doctor Who sommelier and pairs the new story with a classic story. John, what do we have in store for today?
Well, it's cons, heists, swindles, robberies, things. Sort of ended it, then sort of fizzled out there in my list. Yeah, schemes. There's probably some clever word. Aaron Sorkin would know what to say here because he likes lists of words. But whatever they are, we're talking about them. That's our linking theme. This was a reasonably easy one to come up with. So we're moving on in the Capaldi years, the 12th Doctor and Clara, and we have them attempting to rob a bank in the aptly named Time Heist.
Kind of like a break-in or a caper.
Yeah, a little caper, a little scheme. Yeah, right.
A crime, a pilferage, a theft, a holdup.
Someone got thesaurus.com on. Yeah.
The old 5-finger discount.
And we have paired that with a classic Who with Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor. Kicking off the Key to Time season. We've already seen a couple of those. We'll talk about that in the episode here. With meeting Romana, or the first Romana, for the first time, and there's a little bit of K9. Got some K9 action in there, so I know you're excited as they untangle the connivings of the Ribos Operation.
All right, so we're going to recap these episodes. We're going to start with Time Heist, which is episode number... Oh, no, this is all weird looking. I'm sorry. It is episode number... Wait for it. It will come. Episode number... This whole website has been rearranged. 5, John.
5, yeah, I think it's 5.
Gosh. Okay, I'm not going to even go by this.
We deep breath. We had something else, and then another one.
Series 8.
Yeah.
And look, it's Series 8.
Look,
it's Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
We know this much. And it aired on the 20th of September 2014. It's a standard 45-minute episode. I can't tell you what number story it is because my website has fallen apart. I apologize about that. I will get on that. But in the meantime, why don't we listen to a clip from Time Heist that John has found.
Tickle your earbuds.
And it's coming up.
You're killing her. You just said fired. I put all of the used clones into the incinerator. Can't have too many of moi scattered around.
Sorry, you don't get on with your own clone?
She hates her own clones. She bans her own clones. Frankly, you're a career break for the right therapist. Shut up. Everybody, just shut up.
And what is this display, now as amusing as you are?
Shut up. Just shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut it up. What did you say? What did you say? What did you say about your own eyes? Shut up. Say it again.
How can you trust someone if they look back at you out of your own eyes?
I know one thing about the architect. What is it that I know about the architect? I know one thing, something that I've known from the very start.
What?
I hate him. He's overbearing. He's manipulative. He likes to think that he's very clever. I hate him! Clara, don't you see? I hate the architect.
A revelation.
That was a good. We haven't had as many of these yet, right? We used to basically once every 2-3 episode, a big Matt Smith speech.
Yeah.
That was a good, nice, big Peter Capaldi.
It was good, and it was a reference to, think of it, one of his, and I won't repeat it so that we don't want to get our line, but the shuttity up. He is a profanity. He uses a profanity. I believe the F word. Similar cadence as to that. So I think that was a reference to Malcolm Tucker.
I love the D shut up.
D shut up. D shut up. Yeah. Yeah, I think, we'll talk about this. Capaldi kind of coming into the character a little bit more here, I think.
Yeah, and a cool plot. Stands on its own. It doesn't, I don't think it's fitting into anything that we've seen to date. I don't know if it comes back again, but it was just sort of on its own, and we're dropped right in the middle of it. So we're kind of in media res here. And so basically we find out a little bit of this in retrospect. As you just heard, there's a big revelation right at that moment. That's about like
close to the end,
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, near the end almost.
I think so. Yeah, that's when they've gotten into the vault and they found the clone, or the original, I guess, of the Miss.
But we start right off with the Doctor and Clara and two other fine fellows. A young woman who can become any person. She sort of has she's a mutant who can do that. And then we have a cyber enhanced human, kind of like an android, I guess, right?
Cyborg, yeah.
Yeah, cyborg. And we find, who is a bank robber and has done this before. They find out that they get a message saying you're in the middle of, or you're outside the toughest bank in the universe and you need to rob it right now. And people are coming to get you right now. So you need to move. And then they're spending the first, half to 3/4 of the episode trying to figure out why are we doing this? Where are we? Like, we know we need to do it because otherwise we'll die and a bunch of people will die, but they're sort of trying to piece it together in retrospect. So there's a lot of clever writing here, I think, to set that up and to pay that off. We find out again that she is a shapeshifter, and that's her kind of, actually not kind of mutant power. She said she's a mutant.
Yeah.
And they walk into the vault, and then walk into the lobby of the bank. And what we see when they walk into the lobby, they see someone else zoomed in, alarm goes off and zoomed in on, and we see this person saying, "Oh, you have admitted guilt, or we smell guilt on you," essentially.
Like a psychic or telepathic thing can tell you're guilty, that you're doing.
And they come in and they smell this on this guy, and they bring in this scary animal, the teller, right, who looks kind of like he has like a slug eyes going on.
He's kind of cute, actually. He's a little grotesque, but I don't think he's scary. I think he's cute.
Let's just say, I'll put it this way. He's John's type. Like, if you know, like, who John goes for, like, this is straight up John's out. I mean, definitely. Right
there. Big orange suit. And handcuffs. It's
mind
all there.
Turn your brain into goo. I mean, just...
Yeah. No.
Just straight out of the playbook.
Yep.
So, okay. So then they realize that not only that, like, they have to control their thoughts even as they're doing this. They do realize that is why this is done this way. They said, "Oh, our memories were wiped for this reason. We don't know what we're doing. Like, we don't know exactly what we're doing, and that's why we're able to get through these systems." We find out that she changes her identity into someone who has some key to some vault. That's how they get in. And then he's able to hack into certain computer systems later. So they're sort of put together to serve their part. And then she, unfortunately, is going to be killed by the teller as they're going around in here. And we find that they've been given essentially the equivalent of, Doctor Who cyanide pills to destroy yourself before being destroyed by the teller, which we've seen is like, it's a pretty grim fate. You're not totally dead. You're just, your brain is mush and you're just sitting in a cell rotting away, kind of.
You get that. It was a weird effect of their head melted in, basically, because that's what, if your brain melts, I guess your skull also. It was
that's right. Your
brain, of how our skulls work.
That's right. Your brain actually just has an exoskeleton on it, and so when it gets turned to mush, you just caves in like that. Yeah. And then the cybernetic guy, kind of similar deal. He goes to distract, the teller's actually close to Clara, and he goes to distract it, and he gets killed. We finally get to the vault, and we see the head of security in the vault, it seems like, where they're trying to steal. But what turns out is that she has actually cloned herself, and that's who the head of security is. So she's down here in her vault. What is she holding? God, I don't even remember what was in the vault. What are they getting from the vault? I don't even remember now at the end.
She had a whole bunch of treasures and things,
of course, yeah,
right. And then also remember there was the teller's mate.
Oh, sorry, they were given right. Sorry. So when they get back there, they find two things. They find sort of the cure. She was saying, the woman who becomes other people, saying, I can never get close to anyone because as soon as I touch anyone, I become them. Well, she's given a cure for that. And by the way, because we find out we think they're zapped away, but actually they were just teleported away and brought back.
Yeah.
The cybernetic guy is given
his memory back.
Something.
So he somehow
he wipes his memory.
Yeah, he
time,
wiped his memory for some reason to protect his loved ones or something. But that means he obviously can't remember any of his loved ones.
And he says, I must have loved them because it's a terrible fate,
Yeah.
So he gets that back. And
it's
for
very
the
Russell
doctor?
T Davies. I thought element of like these characters very quickly, a couple of lines gives them a backstory, makes you sympathetic to them. I thought they were, on that point it was well done and very RTD. Like, he's very good at that, right? Like, let's just write. I'll give you a couple of lines of dialogue and suddenly you care about these people, and then I'll kill them.
But what was so? Okay, so let's get to the final part. Okay, I don't remember if there's anything there for the doctor. I don't think so. But the doctor pieces together. I'm sorry if we didn't say this already. He's the architect. He planned this
in a not particularly shocking twist.
Right. So what we find out is that he says, here, call me later when you need me. He calls back later, and what we ultimately find is that what's in the vault is the other teller species. So he's able to reunite them and then transport them.
Of their species,
yeah, exactly, and transport them to the planet. And so that's what happens. So I guess that doesn't get all wrapped up in the time. But is that the only thing that's there for the Doctor and Clara? I'm like, am I forgetting something? I don't think so. I think that's it. So
I think he'd just be in it. He wouldn't be in it for anything, right? He'd just be in it to
do that.
To do the nice thing.
Anyway, so there's a timey-wimey thing going on here, right? Because he's called here to set this up, but he's called here by her later, but he only gives her the number when he's in the vault doing this. So how did it all begin? But again, that's just how
Bootstrap
it goes.
Paradox, right? Yeah.
But so here's what I thought about it. I liked it. I enjoyed this. This is my favorite so far of the Peter Capaldi era. I think I ranked it as such. Well, I guess we'll find out. I'll find out my own exciting ranking. But I thought it was a clever plot. It stood on its own. I did think that they wanted me to care more about the woman and the man who they met up with. So that was like this big, and they wanted me to believe that Clara's like, no, my God, Sai. Sai was the cyborg. Like, oh God, Sai's dead. It's like, you just met him. I believe that you're upset, but they're making it seem like there was this huge connection and like, oh my God, these people, these members of our team were killed. It's like, your team started 5 minutes ago in your memory. I mean, like you just, your memories were wiped. So I thought that was like kind of pushing it a little, but I did love the little, impossible to explain time part of it. But I thought it was clever. It was nice. I didn't think it was my favorite episode ever, but I thought it was like, oh, okay. And again, the speech you excerpted, I thought we had some nice Capaldi moments. Like, it was like, I'm starting to see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is his doctor. Okay, I'm seeing it more.
I like that we've learned about you that if you were, say, on a bus full of people or something and they started getting picked off by a monster or something, you'd be like, oh, well.
I didn't know him.
I only just met you. As they're being dragged out, you're like, I only just met you. I'm not that attached.
I can't explain it. I can't explain it. I just somehow some of that just like they push it a little, and they're wanting me to feel a certain way, and I think I fold my arms and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna care too much. Sorry.
Well, no, I think that reflects it. It's a rushed episode a little bit. I liked it too. It's a fun standalone, but I think it's a bit rushed.
I do agree that it felt rushed. At the same time, then thinking about it, I'm like, well, would I have wanted it to be an hour and a half? I'm like, not really. Like I
think 2.5 at least. Yeah, you love Alone.
I think it just could have been written in such a way that this 45 minutes could have hung together a little better. But yes, it feels a little like we're just moving so quickly through, and some things feel a little unfinished, or there's fraying around the edges.
Well, I think part of it is it sells itself as a heist story subtly. Through the name Heist. And I think, one of the patterns of a good heist movie is the plan. You get the plan,
right,
and then you go through that, and then you see them try to execute the plan, and it goes wrong, and how do they get back onto and like that, and because of this,
you go through, you have scenes, right? The plan is like literally a montage. You need the montage of the plan,
half the movie.
Then you need to get to know the characters, be like, this is why this person's in it. And maybe that's part of it, is that like I felt like that was just given such short shrift, but we were supposed to really be like, oh, I really want him to be able, but I actually, first of all, don't know what he wants. And then second, when she gets the thing, it was like she had one line where she was like, I can never be close to anyone. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I believe you. But just I didn't feel brought in by it as much.
Yeah.
As much as I thought there were good ideas, it wasn't like,
no. You're like, is this some sort of incel thing? Is that what we got going?
Yeah.
Well, it's also, it's, I think if you don't have the plan, then it feels like it, then they're just winging it, right? They're just like, oh, we go down a corridor and there's a thing and we open a thing, and I guess, and it was like a complicated lock on the safe, and like you sort of created some suspense. I think
which they were doing in reverse. I mean, what would have been interesting is to have the moment of the plan montage after the fact. That would have been kind of cool.
Here's what we were supposed to do, something like that. I also think I gotta shout out the giant ventilation ducts. For some, I don't know, like,
yes,
they're huge, like not even trying. They're just like, you could just crouch down and kick 5 people through them. It's like, hey, if you're gonna have
them in, I thought that because when they kicked them in with their feet and came in, there was no crampedness at all. They were just like,
So I thought that was interesting for a bank that's supposedly impregnable. This is by Steve Thompson and Stephen Moffat. So he also wrote Curse of the Black Spot, which is the pirate one with Amy and Rory.
My favorite.
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, which is the Master of the Clara one. So both of them disappointing in the same way, to the extent that these are disappointing. In other words, both were fun, but ultimately didn't quite gel together. The teller's an interesting monster, but has no dialogue, so it's like you can kind of be sympathetic to its brain meltingness. You have Keely Hawes, who is Miss Delphox and Madame Carabraxis, the clone person. She apparently is well known from shows like Line of Duty, which is a big British cop show and stuff. I didn't really recognize her. And I think you're right. I think you have a much more assured Peter Capaldi here, which is great.
Yeah,
but he's clearly cutting into the character and stuff like that. You have this segment of Matt Smith has, I think, touched on this too, and I think that the one with the Dream Lord or whatever the hell he was from but I hate myself. Who would I hate the most in the universe? That's probably me. It's just like
right.
All right, Stephen Moffat seems to really want to land this, that like, that doctor can't stand himself, and it's like, okay, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm on it. This seems very Aaron Sorkin-esque.
I mean, I can buy it just from the sense of that's the person who he's around the most. I'm sure he does find the most flaws in himself. He also has a huge ego, so like he loves himself. But also, by the way, at the beginning, forgot to mention the nice little opening to this was he's pulling Clara away from Danny.
Yes.
And like we're starting to finally see more of Clara's actual life.
Yeah. And
3 years into this, it feels like
up in the next episode too. Yeah.
And right. And she's starting a relationship with Danny Pink, who we met a few episodes ago, and is getting taken away from this. And I think the way it's done is clever. It's like, I'm just like, there's no harm in just picking up the phone. And then when he literally touches the phone, they blank out and are in the middle of the capers. I thought that was a nice quick touch to that to show that like the doctor is affecting her life in this way. We're finally seeing this, that like, hey, she has this life. She's apparently now a teacher and not a nanny, and is dating this other teacher, and that is kind of coming into play with with the doctor.
And another good interaction between them that we liked before, of him sort of saying like, "Oh, I guess you're not going out. You haven't put your makeup on." And she's like, "I am wearing makeup."
I love it. And then, for some reason, nothing is funnier to me than Peter Capaldi just like trying to talk about Jenna Coleman as like just a completely like bland, like
schlubby,
handsome woman. Like, like, oh God, I just love it that he's so turned off by her, or is he? But I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, why don't we move on to our classic episode and what happened was? By the way, I'm going to fill you in about what happened before we went to that little clip. I usually
pull back the curtain.
Pull back the curtain. I usually pull up a couple web pages as we're doing this episode. I pull up Wikipedia for the given episode. I also pull up from fandom.com, the TARDIS.fandom.com, which is a pretty good wiki specific to Doctor Who.
Right.
Well, instead, I had pulled up the IMDb page.
Oh, Porter.
And what I thought in my horror, I was like, oh God, the Doctor Who wiki is redesigned and I can't find any information. And in fact, what it is I pulled up IMDb, which indeed has no information on it.
Pointless.
So that's my sick burn to IMDb.
Well, there goes our sponsorship.
The Ribos Operation.
Ribos.
Season 16.
Ribos Operation.
Ribos. Story 1. We have Romana, Mach 1. K9, Mach 2. And the Doctor, Mach 4.
Yep.
And we have this aired the 2nd to the 23rd of 1978. So, oh gosh, these aired almost right at the same time of year. 4 25-minute episodes, and that's all you need to know about it. All right, let's play this clip.
Ask no more questions.
Ribos.
Let me see that.
Oh, thank you.
Why did you do it?
I was afraid Unstoff might give our position away.
Unstoff?
Yeah, junior employee.
What, with an open, honest face?
Oh, yes, of course, you've seen him.
Yes, I nearly bumped into him in the relic. He's very light on his feet, isn't he?
There, that should stop the bleeding.
Oh, thank you very much. You're very kind. If you like, I'll tell the Graf that you weren't part of my team. He won't believe me, of course.
No, there's not much point in telling him, is there?
Quite. It's ironic, isn't it?
What's ironic?
You just made a competent arrest. I do admire professionalism, especially in the opposition. Now nobody will ever hear of it. We'll all die together.
Is that supposed to be comforting?
There's no comfort in dying. I've always said it was the last thing I want to do.
Why are you so sure the Graf will kill us? Who is he, anyway?
He's a cold-blooded maniac. He likes killing people.
Then wasn't a little foolhardy trying to sell him a non-existent mine?
Mine?
Yes, mine. That's your game, isn't it? Mines.
If mine's mines, what's yours?
That's the the wonderful Garen.
Yes.
All right, so at the beginning of this story, we hear about a bunch of stuff that is completely ignored for most of the rest of the story, but you can tell me about it later. The White Guardian, is that a Time Lord?
Well, he's a guardian. The guardian of light and time that's all we know about him. If we were watching this in order, we would know as much as you did. This is the first time the characters appeared.
Well, he's telling the Doctor, you have to go and play essentially a video game fetch quest of there are 6 magical time keys hidden around Mario Land.
Each
one
level
is in a desert planet. One is in an ice planet.
Basically.
And you got to go find the segments of the key to time, and you get a time lady to go with you. This is Romana, whose actual name is Romana Dvoratrelundar.
Romana Dvoratrelundar, yes.
Yeah. And the Doctor calls him Romana. They try to set up a little like Tracy and Hepburn repartee between the two of them. I don't know. This Romana doesn't quite work for me in that sense. She's
kind of an
fine.
ice queen, right? She's kind of got that cold. She's
right.
It's meant to be. She's much younger than him, and he's the more experienced traveler. So she's sort of supposed to be the sophisticated lady who's never left the house, I guess.
But who's sort of like a bit of a not a know-it-all, but like she's young, so she's like, I know how we do this, and then he's sort of trying to be but I've been out here doing it, so I have more life experience.
This is what the universe is
fine. It just doesn't. like their chemistry doesn't crackle.
Yeah.
It's just like not there. Nothing against necessarily either one of them. They're warned also that the Black Guardian is looking for these segments, who I don't believe comes up in the story, right?
No, we don't see the Black Guardian.
Just making sure I didn't miss anything. That's
but
fine.
you met him, so...
Oh, he's in another story,
You saw him in Modern Undead, which, remember, he's the one who corrupts Turlo. And so you've seen him, and you will see him later this season. But yes, that is.
I certainly did that because, of course, I wrote that one. I play the corruption of Turlo, which is like
sort of, well, we've all based
on that moment.
It was
expands
powerful.
that moment.
It was powerful. Yeah.
So okay, so they're looking. They're like, "Hey, go look. Why don't you just start on this planet?" And then here's a wand. Here's a wand. Here's a wand. Use this, point it around.
Use a gift bag. There's some stuff in here that could be used.
He basically gives them the equivalent of like a metal detector and sends them to a beach. He's like, "Hey, here you go. Point this around. See if you can find anything."
Yeah.
Anyway, what we kind of walk into is a grift going on where this man we just mentioned, who's basically the star of the episode, Garen, who's a swindler, and he's on the planet pretending to be a real estate agent who sells planets. And his client is a kind of a evil warlord who I guess is been exiled, but he's going around warlording wherever he can find the work. He's looking for work.
Yeah, I think he's got a little one man, like sort of a little van full of soldiers, and he drives around.
The Graf Vindicay. And by the way, looks exactly like one of the Affleck family. Could be Casey Affleck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, and he's kind of this. He is a tyrant. He's a bit mad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's also got some angles here. He thinks he's fooling the realtor, into like, the realtor. These people don't know what they've got on their hands with this planet, because he sees this certain type of stone called Jethric. Which is apparently the most valued mineral in the galaxy. Is this held up? The Jethric comes back? Is it used?
No, never mentioned again.
Never mentioned again. It sounded like it's basically like, the TARDIS needs Jethric to run or whatever. That's okay. Well, anyway, it's the most valued mineral in the galaxy. Although, to be fair,
there are a lot of galaxies.
There are a lot of galaxies. So.
Yeah.
And what he doesn't know is that Garen is working this little scam with another guy, Unstaff, and they've placed the Jethric there. It is not found on this planet. That's just a bit of Jethric they have, and they're trying to get the sale. They also have no rights to this planet, so they can't sell it. They're trying to get the money. The Doctor kind of gets into all this, and then in the middle of it, they're searching for one another and trying to see what's going on. The Graf is then starting to kill people. The Graf has his like second in command.
Sholak, yeah, something like that.
And they find the piece of the time key they're looking for. Is it in the Jethric, or is it in the vault?
It's the lump of Jethric. Yeah.
That's why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they're kind of back and forth. There are a couple nice scenes with Garen and Unstaff are fun, and they're enjoyable, and it reminds me of an episode we had a few weeks ago where I like the trapping. It seems like someone had a good time writing these characters.
You mean
the
like
plot itself?
Jago and Lightfoot, probably.
Yes.
Well, this is also by Robert Holmes, who wrote Jago and Lightfoot. So this is
Holmes
is known for these
feels like that,
acts.
Because it feels like the plot itself is not really at all that interesting. It's a pretty simple thing. There's some nice moments, but really it's just like those two characters are fun. Okay. And then they're finding this key which we don't know anything about. There's not the conflict in and of itself of like, hey, this guy is going to discover that he's being hoodwinked and then kind of fight back, and then how can we trick him again? I don't know. It's not that compelling to me, but everyone's playing their part well, and it's enjoyable enough to watch. It just, the plot didn't really grab me, but some good scenes and some good performances.
Yeah, this is Robert Holmes, and the plot is,
and not too much canine. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
comes in the middle.
Yeah, it sort of shows up in the middle.
He shows up in the middle, and like they try to have a whole scene. There's another like trying to do like Abbott and Costello with Romana and K9. I'm like, please just move on from the scene as quickly as possible.
No, come on, he's a star. K9. This immediately follows the Invasion of Time, which we just watched. So that's where Leela and the first K9 left. Remember, at the end of that, the Doctor pushes the new box. It says, there's going to be another K9, So this is picks up from that. This is the season premiere. So Mary Tam as Romana 1 is replacing Louise Jameson as Leela. Yeah, this is Robert Holmes. And, again, great that you see the parallel. This is so Holmes famed for his double acts, these two, introducing two characters who bounce off of each other really well and are very interesting. And again, also a great example of Holmes's world building, right? He builds up Ribos into this, he's got it's ice time, and you've got the North, and you've got references to that, and the crown jewels, and there's a whole story there. I think the con is cleverly constructed, right? That it's they're pretending they can sell the planet, but obviously they don't have the real rights to sell the planet. So how do you swindle them out of money? Okay, you convince him that there's a something incredibly valuable there, the Jethric, and then you try to basically let the Graf think he's swindling Garen, right? They have no idea that this valuable thing is there, and then Garen's like, well, I'm happy to sell it, but we need a deposit of the money, and puts the money in the thing. They're going to steal the money and flee before the guy realizes being swindled. So yeah, it's a clever con. I don't think it's enough to hold up over 4 episodes, but it's nice. And again, it is that sort of backstory world building. You've got Garen and Unstuff are great, good performances, great little scene that is generally praised among Doctor Who fans with Binro the heretic, the little old guy, and the nice little moment where he tells Unstuff that actually I think the lights in the sky are not ice, but actually stars, that we travel around them. And Unstuff kind of touchingly says, "Oh, you're right," and that creates this nice motivation for why Binro helps him. You've got Paul Seed as the Graf Vindicay. Paul Seed, actor, but then became a director, and most famously directed the British House of Cards.
Oh wow!
So he is at least the first 2 series of Houses of Cards. That is him. Gives everybody giving a very over-the-top performance in this. I mean, there's not a lot of subtlety. That bone woman who's the seeker, who's running around, she's like the psychic.
She's a lot.
Is going for it.
But I think the Graf is the right amount of unhinged. Like he's supposed to be kind of unhinged and dangerous.
Yeah,
and
he's a dangerous warlord, and he doesn't come across that way. One of the great comedy scenes with Tom Baker is at the beginning of the second episode, where the Graf comes upon Tom Baker and the Fourth Doctor and Garen, and is he's going to kill the cringing cur or whatever. And at one point, the Graf grabs his glove and slaps the Doctor, and Tom Baker just looks affronted and grabs the glove away and slaps him back. It's very this is one of the great comedy moments from Tom Baker. And then, yes, this is the Key to Time linking season. So we've watched 2 of the 6 now. So the Stones of Blood, the one with the ogre, the big stones in the circle, that was one, and the Androids of Tara, the one with the android duplicates and Count Brendel and all that. Those are more searches of segment. So this is the first time ever that there's been a linking arc to a season of Doctor Who. At least in the this is in the classic series. This is the first. Even some occasional running stories with the Master or something like that. But this is an attempt to sort of tie the whole season together into this big arc, and so that's why you have that beginning scene with the White Guardian. And
can I ask? So these are like essentially the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, exactly.
But when they get them all at the end, does it lead to much, or is it just sort of like, well, yeah, no, we have all these?
Hate to ruin the Armageddon factor for you, but yes, this is a huge anticlimax.
Yeah,
this is the problem when you introduce characters like the White Guardian, who's basically a godlike character. I mean, you think about it, he stops the TARDIS in mid-flight and drags the Doctor out of it, and then he's able to basically, the Doctor says, what if I don't want to go looking for this? And he says, well, nothing. And he says, oh, nothing? He says, yes, nothing, ever. He's like, oh, okay. But then, but then you get the Doctor being like, well, why don't you just get them since you're a god? And it's like, oh, I can't be seen to act in this. And it's like, yeah, and why is the Key to Time been created and scattered over everywhere so nobody can find it exactly? What's the reason for this? And this, so as soon as you set up these omnipotent godlike characters, then you have to explain why they can't just do everything themselves, and it starts not to hold together very well. But I think it which in some ways may be why it's a good idea to, when you do the linking stories, to not have them that tightly linked, because it's like, well, even if the central linking idea is people aren't buying, at least you still get some good stories out of it. And so So, most of these, the segment is irrelevant, or they arrive somewhere looking for the segment, they get caught up in some other storyline, and they find it only at the last minute or at the end. And we'll see the different ways that the segment is hidden, but it's rarely the central part of the story itself, right? It's incidental to, hey, we got to find this thing. That's why we're here, but we got to deal with all this other stuff first.
Don't tell me it's not worth fighting for. I can't help it. There's nothing I want more. You know it's true. Every theme I do it for you. That's, of course, a song from Robin Hood.
Yeah, we should have done that a couple weeks ago.
Prince of Thieves.
Prince of
I'm saving
Thieves.
it for this one.
Oh, okay.
We did Disney's Robin Hood for that
Yeah.
one. So
that's right.
Look, I have these all planned out. Believe me, for months I have these planned out.
Porter's in a little studio with a piano and like a pencil, like being like, no,
that's not it. That's not good. We are adherents of the repeating themes here. No, Not the Mind Probe. We'd like to revisit topics and ideas that are threaded throughout Doctor Who and all of human existence. John, just little things like that.
Yeah.
So, John, what do we want to tackle in this episode?
Let's talk about heists and heist movies, and let's talk about I think really what could link these in some ways is the MacGuffin. Let's talk about the MacGuffin. Yeah. It's a search for a thing. The key to time is sort of a MacGuffin, and whatever the heck they were looking for in Time Heist.
it's a sleight of hand MacGuffin.
Yeah,
they just say we assume there's something in there that we want.
Yeah, it's actually the laziest MacGuffin you can come up with, which is you don't even have to come up with one. Just be like, there's probably something we want.
Right.
Do you want to regale the people with what a MacGuffin is? It's Hitchcock came up with the term, right? Isn't it Hitchcock?
I only know of it of what I understand of it, but yeah, that it's a plot device to give a goal to our protagonists and to as a driving force for the plot. But the key is that it doesn't matter what it is. It's actually unimportant. So you don't spend a lot of time necessarily talking about it. It's just in there to give us something to move forward toward. But that's all I just know of it.
Yeah, it drives the plot. So according to Wikipedia, which is obviously never wrong, the term was originated by Angus MacPhail for film, whoever the heck that is, but adopted by Alfred Hitchcock and later extended to a similar device in other films. I think in Hitchcock, certainly notorious for using the MacGuffin. I'm trying to think.
And often it ends up being an object or an element that is endowed with mystery and power, but we just know, it's very powerful. It's we can't talk a lot about it, but it's a very powerful, wonderful thing.
Right.
Another example for relatively modern day viewers is in Pulp Fiction. There's literally a briefcase that they're all going around, but they never show it. They just show them looking into it and being amazed. And that's it. Like they,
the letters of transit in Casablanca, right? What they were all looking for, and amusingly, that's a great example of one because, and it's often the case when it doesn't make any sense. Why would letters signed by Charles de Gaulle get you out of Nazi Germany? It doesn't make any sense. The letters of transit would be useful for anyone ever. Almost all of the Mission Impossible movies, right, are chasing MacGuffins, right? There's always some thumb drive or some vital piece of information. The latest one was a key or a piece of a key or something like that.
If they get that, then they can just unlock all the nuclear codes.
Yeah,
if they get that, they can, tap into everyone's, information all over the world. And computers are great for the MacGuffins because, like you said, they can just put it all into a little device or a thumb drive, and it can mean whatever you want. Like it doesn't matter. And it needs to be something it helps when it's something that is beyond understanding. So you can say something like it's the nuclear secrets or it's the quantum equation that solves the world, because it's like you can't know that's unknowable, so you can just hand wave it away that that MacGuffin tells you that it just does that.
You don't know why or how. So what do you think about the MacGuffin? It's clearly a popular plot device, and we just named a number of very good movies and or directors.
Right.
So clearly it works. Which is odd, right? It seems like we should feel it's lazy. It's like, wait, no, don't just be like, you want the the red ball. Like, that's what's driving
Well,
you. But like,
I
well,
think in
why?
those
And,
movies, I mean, those movies are all like the good ones we mentioned are all good examples of the MacGuffin's just there to give you something to strive for, but that if that was all that was there, if that was the only reason for the movie, then it wouldn't be a good movie. But in all those movies, we talk about all the characters and their motivations and their interactions with one another, and they have their own driving force to the movie. So I think the MacGuffin works because it doesn't overcomplicate the plot, and then so the plot doesn't get in the way of the characters sort of having different motivations and interacting with each other, which is usually the more engaging and fun thing to watch. You're rarely, I mean, we said this at the beginning of some of the Doctor Who episodes where you'd be like, oh, well, this is a great complicated plot. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I don't care about any of it unless there are characters in it that are compelling. So I think it must work in the way of letting the plot kind of go into autopilot mode for a bit so that the characters can shine a bit more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think about, heist movies, Ocean's 11, right? I don't really want Ocean's 11 to have an interesting, complex plot. And because I want to see Brad Pitt and George Clooney and Matt Damon and all those people doing interesting things.
Hang
I
out.
Don't care why.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to, I guess, gives room. It gives room for the characters, the actors, or whatever to shine, while still giving them, I guess, some urgency, right? Or again, some reason for moving,
right? And it gives like kind of a kinetic thing to it of like we just need to keep moving forward. And usually the MacGuffin is explained near the beginning, so you can just be like, cool. So we get why we're motivated,
right.
Okay? So
why we're driving?
We're all motivated, right? So we don't
Fiat
need to keep
through
talking
Rome,
about that
with Matt Damon. Why he's driving through Rome very quickly. Let's just get on to the action of what they're doing, and of course, the idea of the quest is an easy one, right? You have to get this thing is an easy one.
Now, does Doctor Who do a lot of it?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, think about, or certainly the idea of especially I think it works in episodic TV of the quest, right? Like you need to get look at the Keys of Marinus, where you had to find there was the conscience of Marinus, right? You had to find the different keys, and so each episode was going to a different location and trying to find the individual keys and bring them back to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the 5 Doctors, which is, they're trying to get to the Dark Tower, and they're all separate and different things. Not quite a MacGuffin, but I mean, yes, kind of. But the quest, right? This idea, and so I think it's great for episodic TV because it's like, all right, I got to get from point A to point B. There's a lot of interesting ways to get there, and you can do on these little side adventures and things like that. You throw up these obstacles that get in your way of getting to the thing, and you can stretch that for as long as you want. So I think they do a lot, although that's a different motivation than what we were just talking about, which is it's less about, let's show off our characters and more about we have 25 minutes to fill. We need to get something. Which, I guess maybe sort of interesting is, all right, does Time Heist use the MacGuffin? I mean, so we did say it was a chance for Capaldi to shine. We got to see a little bit of him. Is it, we didn't get to know any of the other characters really well. It was too fast for them. Yeah, so it didn't really show them off. And
Clara doesn't really.
Yeah, she's kind of a non-entity in it. So maybe it doesn't work so great. Ribos Operation, well, we did kind of say, actually, the plot we didn't care that much about, but it was Garen and Unstoff were interesting, and the graph was interesting, and you see Binra, so maybe it works better there. Although, is there a MacGuffin there? I guess yes, the Jethric and the and then the
keys themselves, the
and then the key to time itself, is obviously driving people onto it or on with it. So maybe it actually works better in Ribos Operation than Time Heist.
I think it works fine if then you have compelling characters around it that you're interested in. If you don't, it's not like it solves that. It's just sort of, again, it allows it to get out of the way. So it's not some sort of foolproof thing. I think it's just a convenient way to make the character shine.
That's a good point. Like you could certainly see there are certainly movies that have totally uninteresting characters, but you're like, wow, what a great plot though. What a really complex story, and what a clever puzzle to work out. And so I guess it's like a lever you counterbalance one of the other.
John.
Yeah. What's our MacGuffin? What's the MacGuffin of this show? Is it, are we going for something? I didn't promise you anything when we started, did I?
No, well, the promise is that we talk through all the Doctor Who television stories.
And then we get a trophy or something?
And they're 300, and I have an announcement to make. We're going to get to the 300, and that is our goal of the podcast. That's our MacGuffin, is to get to those 300, because number 301 is airing, I think, this week. So this is coming on the 21st and the 25th, I believe.
25th is when the next one comes out. Yeah. The Star
So I'm
Beast.
committing. I'm going to just watch that.
Whoa.
I'm not going to watch it for the podcast. You've converted me. I'm a Doctor Who fan. David Tennant, I just, he's on everything on the BBC. I can't avoid him. I've given myself over to him at this point. So
makes sense. And this is going to be, I think, a bit of a reset. The word on the street, and also on all the websites, is that Ncuti Gatwa's season is going to be a new season 1,
right,
of the Doctor Who Disney era, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
So we're going to have to, so now we've got Classic Who. NuWho is going to have to be renamed to, or maybe we'll stay NuWho and then it'll be NuWho. Or
like 20, I don't know.
Middle Who and then Modern Who. I don't know. We're going to have to come up with a new naming convention.
Does Russell T Davies have to start each new iteration of Who? Is that how it works now? So just like every 20 years, Russell T Davies, they trot him out.
I mean,
well, anyway,
will Stephen Moffat come back after that? Yeah, who knows?
That's true. Ooh, that'd be fun. That's the MacGuffin we're working toward, is we're going to get to those 300, and then we're going to have a big 300th episode or 150th episode celebration, and we'll probably bring back Mrs. Probe and Mr. Probe.
Let's live discuss format changes. Will we talk about the 60th anniversary specials in our upcoming episodes? Are we going to?
Yeah. Why don't we just talk about them as they happen? Now, for you guys at home, again, breaking the magic, there might be some that happen out of time because, for example, we won't talk about the 25th anniversary special on the next episode.
The 60th,
because we're actually going to record that before it happens.
Yeah, possibly immediately after this discussion.
But
it will come. It will get there, folks. It will get there.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it.
So this is going to be. So when people ask, for those of you who are hardcore probers, Paul, when people ask, "Hey, I'm thinking of jumping in to Mind Probe," because a lot, I think, water cooler discussions, like, "Hey, I'm thinking about jumping into the probe."
You're like, I really want to, but like, what do I? Yeah.
So so this is 91, 92 is next. By when we record 93, we will be talking about the 60th. So you could say, hey, a great place to jump in is episode 93, which is a classic thing. People say a lot, right? It took about 92 episodes to really warm up. And then it also finally got current.
Well, look, what we're going to do now is we've ranked 180 of these stories. We're going to now rank the ones we just talked about, and I will start. Like I said, I enjoyed this as like kind of a first Peter Capaldi one, so I think I ranked it high for that. I ranked this number 38. This felt similar to me to Let's Kill Hitler.
Yes.
I put it right around there. A similar deal where it was like, really good idea. I enjoyed watching it. Wasn't perfect, but high on the list. I mean, it's out of 180, I have it number 39, so I have it up there in the top quarter there. The Ribos Operation, I have a little bit lower. I have kind of like middle of the pack for that one. I have it 111. I have it right next to the Wheel in Space and the Colony in Space. Again, it was fine. Hey, only 4 episodes. It always gets extra points from me when it's only 4 episodes.
Brevity is the soul of wit. And
probably could have even been a bit more brev, but I did enjoy the performances. So yeah, in the middle, and not as fun as like a Sarah Jane and Tom Baker episode, but Romana is she is what she is. There she is.
Yeah. This one I've got we're pretty but close to actually the two of these together. Time Heist I had at number 71. I think also around Let's Kill Hitler and in that space. Light and fluffy, not part of the running storyline. Strong performances from everyone. I wish it was a little bit longer. I think it could have actually benefited from under 10 minutes or a bit tightening up somehow. But enjoying Capaldi. It's funny because I do love Peter Capaldi, and I think he certainly over time really grows on you. So, I was coming into rewatching these, already a fan, but now watching them in order again, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's taking him a little time, but this is when I'm starting to see him come into, you're starting to see him come into his own. So yeah, strong episode. And then Ribos Operation surprised me. It's not one, I come back to a lot. It's sort of, it's not the most exciting episode, a bit slow, not a particularly, we didn't even talk about the glory.
You're really selling it.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about the glory. This is a Shrivenzal, the giant rubber monster. The guy in the suit.
Oh yeah. He just shows up and they kind of cut away from it quick. Like, you know what? Just move on.
But he's kind of a pivotal role at the end because he attacks. But I think clever dialogue, cool characters that I enjoyed. And so, yeah, it came up for me at number 84. So a similar spot, just because I think it was like, oh, this is actually a more solid story than I expected.
Well, I'll put it on the old supercomputer here. What we end up with is a Time Heist at number 46, right next to Power of the Daleks and Let's Kill Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ribos Operation.
Ribos, the T. It's a Ribos.
The Ribos Operation. Ribos Operation is 101, right next to the Fires of Pompeii and Logopolis.
All right, let's look at them on the Doctor Who magazine here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right, so looking at our grand tally. In the Capaldi years, Time Heist comes in at number 20 out of 35, so roughly in the middle of the pack there. And for the Ribos Operation, comes up actually fairly high at number 20, also 20 out of 41 in the Tom Baker years. So right around,
so in the middle of Tom Baker.
Yeah, Hand of Fear, Faces of Evil, in that area. So so middle of the pack for both.
And there are about 40 Peter Capaldi stories?
There are 35 Peter Capaldi and there are 41 Tom Bakers.
You know what? I'm just thinking about Peter Capaldi in terms of, like you said, coming into hitting a stride or whatever it is. He is the first one of the ones that I've seen where he's an actor who's known to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not just sort of getting to know Matt Smith and I've never seen him in anything before. I'm like, well, I know Peter Capaldi. I've seen him in other things. And so I'm kind of watching like, oh, what will I get of him? Is this the same version as this of him? Like there's baggage to it that like wasn't really there. I didn't know David. I know David Tennant has been in lots of things, but I didn't know him until Doctor Who. So
true.
Like I'm just meeting him there, and the same thing with Christopher Eccleston. So that's interesting. I feel like that's a bit of a deficit that Peter Capaldi has to work out of, just because like you kind of know him and you're going to be like, is he going to be the thick of it guy, or is it going to be like, what are we going to see?
There's always been talk, and he did it for one comic relief special of Rowan Atkinson, right? Would be a great Doctor Who. And he's actually in the, he did I think you've seen it, but the comic relief thing that Stephen Moffat wrote. And he plays it kind of straight. I mean, he's got some funny lines, but he plays and almost in a very revelatory, like, oh yeah, he would actually been pretty good. But talk about someone with baggage, right? I mean, like, can you imagine trying to get used to Rowan Atkinson and be like, is he gonna be Blackadder? Is he gonna be, I don't know how he could be Mr. Bean. But he's got, certainly a comic persona to be like, oh, like even more to dig out of. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. Well, look, you can see all our rankings on mindprobe.show, and you can also go and see the watch order. You can see what we're going to watch next week. You can email us, Porter at mindprobe.show, John at mindprobe.show. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, and we'd love it if you left a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or a rating.
Just from random words, just Kofefa. Just put that. Kofefa. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever it takes.
And I think that's all you need to do. Can you just do those 5 things? And then is it so much to ask?
It's way easier for you than for us to actually try to promote this on some level. It would
this
help
is us. This is just 2 guys standing in front of a podcast audience, asking them to
rate,
promote our show
subscribe
for us.
Yeah.
John, what do we have in store for next episode?
All right. Next episode, I forget. I'm totally blanking. No, we go to the present day. We rocket to the present day.
I live in the present day.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's where
me.
we are. You can finally relate.
Whoa.
We've got 2 stories set on contemporary Earth battling alien war machines or war machines of some sort. We've got Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, and we've got Danny Pink really coming in hot. If you thought, hey, how do I get to know Danny Pink more? Well, this is your episode. The Doctor takes on the role of the caretaker, and that is set in present day Earth, and is battling an alien war machine. And so I thought, I could pair that with an episode from the first Doctor era called "The War Machines."
Hey,
we have got William Hartnell, we've got Dodo. Sort of. Some interesting treatment of Dodo here. And we have the first appearance of Ben and Polly joining as we sort of wrap up the first Doctor era. We have them investigating the mysterious post office tower in London in the War Machines.
Ooh. Post offices. Ooh.
That's a MacGuffin in a lot of stories, is you have to find the post office.
Oh yeah, that is difficult.
Yeah.
Especially
when it's open.
And if you have to find a post office that does a particular service, like does passport photos, but also doesn't do priority mail, but does have PO boxes.
That was the original plot of Vertigo. And then Hitchcock was like, "Hey, wait, maybe an obsession with a woman." And they're like, "All right." Yeah.
And it's called Forever Stamps. Mindprobe.show.